Good day, Mr. President, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. My name is Nuruddin Ahmed Tijani, a concerned citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I trust this message finds you in good health and high spirits. As you continue to lead, as you continue to implement some of the most difficult economic policies of our time, I wish to send this message to you on the state of our beloved country, Nigeria. Inflation rate is 33.2%, which means there has been a consistent and general increase in the price of goods and services over time. And this also means that a lot of Nigerians can't be able to afford their basic education, they can't be able to sponsor their children to school, they can't be able to pay for their medical bills, and they are not able to afford basic food commodities. Why certain food items have witnessed about 50% increase in their prices, others have seen more than 200% increase in their prices. For example, at a certain point in time, a 50 kg of rice was 10,000 naira. However, as of today, it's about 90,000 naira. This is indeed a very difficult time for Nigerians. The Central Bank of Nigeria is using the contractionary monetary policy tool to curb inflation. However, looking at the drivers of inflation in Nigeria, you will come to realize that there are basically three. The first is food prices, energy prices, and housing. To my understanding, I believe none of these can be resolved through the contractionary monetary policy. So, we have to look at the alternative policy, which is fiscal policy. The second message I want to pass to you, Mr. President, is about the rate of poverty. In 2019, the National Bureau of Statistics said that 4 out of every 10 Nigerians is extremely poor. Data from World Bank also indicated that 40% of Nigerians are living below poverty line. Again, Mr. President, this is indeed a very difficult time for Nigerians. A lot can't be able to sponsor their children to school, they can't be able to eat 3 square meals in a day, and they can't be able to pay their rent. Mr. President, to curb the rate of poverty in Nigeria, I will advise that we look at the Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, all the Sustainable Development Goals. But for the sake of this conversation, I would just like to recommend 3. The first is girls' child education. Nigeria is home to more than 10 million out-of-school children, half of whom are girls. And it is not a coincidence that the country with the highest number of out-of-school children is home to the poorest, or is home to the highest number of poor people in the world. So, Mr. President, I will recommend that we try to give scholarship to the girls, because this will enable them to know their rights, to know when exactly they should marry. It will also help them to make sure that they have the proper education, because as it's always said, when you educate a girl child, it's as though you are educating the entire society. Besides, educating the girls is also proven to have both long-term economic impact. I mean, it has a lot of economic advantages, and it also has intergenerational impacts. Again, the second among the list I want to recommend is about investment in health and well-being. Nigeria currently has a lot of crushing diseases. A lot of Nigerians are battling with so many forms of diseases. Among them is malaria, tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS, infant and maternal mortality, and the list goes on and on. Of course, people that are sick, their productivity will always be very low. We have a lot of poor hospitals in Nigeria. We have a lot of general hospitals that are currently in a very dilapidated state. Mr. President, for us, if you really want to bring Nigeria out of poverty, there has to be a deliberate policy geared towards ensuring that the health sector is revived, because doing this will also bring Nigeria out of poverty. Remember, of course, this also has an economic advantages if you are able to invest in the health sector. Besides, this will also discourage the doctors, I mean, all these graduates that we have from Nigeria, this will discourage them from traveling abroad. So I would recommend that, Mr. President, you should be able to revive all the hospitals in Nigeria, all the states, and of course, support the state government to be able to revive the state hospitals and also the national hospitals that we have. And in addition to that, Mr. President, I will recommend that you should be able to build at least 1,000 hospitals so that our state government, our state governors, and all the senators will now be able to patronize the local hospitals in Nigeria. The third point is about expanding economic opportunities for all Nigerians. Let the child of the poor be able to get jobs. Let people be able to get jobs irrespective of their classes, irrespective of their social class. I mean, irrespective of their religion or political status, or political affiliations. People should not be condemned. I mean, it shouldn't be about the child of the rich. It shouldn't be only about the rich. I mean, someone who was born in Sokoto and someone who was born in Lagos or someone who was born in Kaduna State all have the same status. They are all Nigerians. Mr. President, let there be no discrimination in terms of jobs, both state, local, and federal government jobs. And this, I believe, Mr. President, is very critical. And finally, among the points I would like to highlight, Mr. President, is about the recent hike in electricity tariff. This will obviously have some negative impact on the economy. The disposable income will be reduced, people will no longer be able to consume energy, and of course it will also affect negatively on businesses and industries. But the question is, how does it really affect businesses? After all, it's all about Band A, Band B, and Band C. People who are able to consume should pay higher. But the question is, Mr. President, goods that are produced in Band A, what will happen is there will be an increase in the cost of production, and this cost of production will be directly transmitted to the final consumers. And again, this will reduce their purchasing power. And this same inflation is going to increase inflation, is going to increase the rate of poverty, and of course the amount of energy consumed will definitely reduce. Mr. President, I believe you should support the state government to be able to generate their own independent electricity supply. Thank you, Mr. President. This, I believe, are my final words tonight. These are just some advice from a very concerned Nigerian. And I believe that I'm speaking the minds of most Nigerians. Thank you, Mr. President. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.